questions for Corey Good about temporal drives, Galactic League of Nations secret space program and recent controversy, August 4, 2015. Message from Corey Good. First off, thank you for your patience in waiting for my reply to these questions. All of the crazy occurrences on our trip home from Guyana were very taxing. It took us a week to recover from the experience. We got home from our trip and we couldn't get through the front door because someone had tried to force it in. The frame was cracked and had to be repaired. This happening right after other recent incidents caused my family some anxiety. I have had to take a break from the internet for a short time as I have been overwhelmed with emails and interview requests. I haven't been able to make a dent in my inbox because new communications come in as fast as I can read them. I am very happy that there is such interest in this information. I was told there would be when I started. I am still overwhelmed by the amount of attention this information has brought. Why an introvert would get stuck in a situation like this has me mystified. I was told that there would soon be other whistleblowers coming out with all different sized pieces of the puzzle. I am certainly looking forward to some of them deciding to get off the fence and doing so. I think it is time for them to do so. As you know, my new Guyana TV sponsored link changed. I have a URL that points to the correct URL that will give me credit for any Guyana TV memberships that people sign up with. The URL is www.blueavians.com. I think David already stated that the show has broken all Guyana TV records. I don't know if I will ever not be nervous on camera. I have not been a public type of person before, so I have some adjusting to do. The episode on sleeping giants, stasis beans, just came out and can be found at www.cosmicdisclosure.com. I will be writing some updates soon about current meetings. Because of the nastiness of some of the people coming out against this information, I have pulled the article I was going to publish about the incident that involved my family. I do not want them being targeted by unscrupulous trolls that have been heavy on the job of email campaigns and manipulative Skype chats. I have seen them. Everything is a conspiracy against them and everything is government mind control. I am certain that this has shown the whistleblowers that will be coming out soon who to not approach first. With most of these whistleblowers having some sort of MyLab type of program involvement, certain people are going to have to come to terms with the MyLab part of the equation or lose a lot of the full picture, because new insiders may soon start keeping that part of their lives secret to keep from being labeled one of the worst things you could call a person in the Alliance. Thank you, Corey Good AKA Q, Michael Salla, PhD, Q1. Do you know why the science spacecraft you served on for 6 years was named after Arnold Sommerfeld? I served on one of the research vessels. In communications, the vessels were just known by their vessel designation and numbers. There was a painting and nameplate for Arnold Sommerfeld in the galley, which I am told is some sort of tradition. The crew of this vessel were often rotated off in short tours or were stationed there but spent much of their time off the vessel on other projects. I would hear the crew refer to the Sommerfeld in relation to the vessel, but this was not used in the communications between vessels or in documentation. Q2. What can you tell us about the propulsion and navigation systems used on the Sommerfeld? The Sommerfeld had gone through a couple refurbishments and upgrades, I was told when I first arrived. The two main propulsion systems were the torsion drive that works much like the warp drive on Star Trek and electrogravitic drives. There were also some of the original positioning thrusters that were all around the vessel that were tested from time to time but I don't think ever really used. There were several ways they had for navigation both within our Sol system and while traveling to others. There was always some sort of redundancy in place to be able to locate the vessels that traveled outside of the Sol system in real time. Q3. You have described temporal drives for secret space drives. Can you describe what these are and the key principles behind them? They work on a principle that allows them to travel in subspace, transporting a vessel from one point to another almost instantaneously. These jump drives are used to cross over and negotiate space, time and space in a way that does not involve traveling in our conventional way of thinking. These vessels are closely tracked and have temporal buffers in the technology that prevents the vessel from traveling back to our own Sol system in a different time frame. The QCCD, Quantum Correlated Communication Device, is a communication device that uses principles of quantum entanglement between certain isotopes, if I remember correctly, that allow devices to be able to communicate with each other no matter the distance in time or space. These are also tied into the navigation systems for tracking purposes. Q4. What do you know about touch-in device drives used for interstellar-class spacecraft? I am sure this is something that one of the current military intelligence level NEO, near-Earth orbit, SSPs would like to be able to produce. Particle and EMF drives have already been a part of our history. The technology we have now gives many in the earlier SSPs the ability to hop around our Sol system and to other stars rather easily. The technology reserved for the higher-level SSPs and some of the secret Earth governments and their syndicates are so incredible that it even blows the minds of those in the mid to upper-level SSPs that have seen just about everything. Q5. Do you know the names of other craft used in the Solar Warden program? You would hear of types or classes of vessels more than their designations. Of all of the times in the communications station I never saw a vessel referred to other than its designation such as ISRV-004. Q6. You have mentioned that the Galactic League of Nations SSP program included all countries. What is its connection to the United Nations? It seems to have been born out of a United Nations agreement. The beginning of this program coincides with a particular speech given to the UN by President Reagan that mentions how quickly we would come together if there was an alien threat. Q7. Was the Vatican represented with the Galactic League of Nations SSP? I do not know if the Vatican is one of the representatives in the GGLN. They are involved with the secret Earth governments, so I would not rule it out. Q8. Does the League of Nations SSP collaborate or coordinate in any way with the Dark Fleet in its interstellar activities? Before the outer barrier went up, the GGLN kept almost entirely to themselves. I am certain that they have fallen on hard times since the outer barrier was erected, and it is more than possible that they have pooled resources or gotten in contact with the large number of Dark Fleet assets that were also trapped outside the barrier. Q9. There has been some recent controversy regarding an alleged relationship between the former CIA MKUltra Project Bluebird and the appearance of the Blue Avians. How do you respond? There was no less controversy inside the SSP Alliance rank and file. The majority of personnel come from the many programs that fall under the MILAB umbrella. There are some people out there who consider all MILABs to be super soldiers. While there are certainly programs to enhance children mentally and physically to become elite soldiers, they are not the largest or most prevalent of the programs by far. When the lower-level personnel in the SSP alliances began to hear about the Sphere Alliance, they were nervous and skeptical. They had nearly all been brought up in one program or another from a young age, and all had been forced to do things they didn't morally agree with. When they heard that one of the sphere beings was a Blue Avian, there was a time period where many of them were triggered and became extremely upset, and there were even some isolated incidents of them acting out. The fact that a fairly large number of the people in the SSP Alliance have been through a version of Project Bluebird and were then being told there was a new ET group in the neighborhood and one of them happened to look like a purple or a bluebird was too much for many of them to handle. They were people that were from a project that has evolved and merged with other programs over time, and each had to go through a process. I have gone into detail in the past about the people that make up the SSP Alliance and what they came from. I was told that not long after I made it through the battering and bruising of the process of coming out with this information, that other whistleblowers would be coming forward. I do think that many in the truther community that consider themselves professionals have behaved in a way that has appeared unethical to some. In other cases there is a clear paper trail of some very bizarre and reactionary behavior. This serves as a warning to future whistleblowers and to whom they chose to make first contact with. If what I am told is correct, and there will soon be more whistleblowers on some of the topics recently disclosed, then we need to deal with the blanketed MILAB term. Create a new one, or chance blocking the majority of the insiders who are on the fence right now about coming forward. We may soon get to a point to where the MILAB part of the equation is left out by new insiders or whistleblowers out of fear of being labeled as a mind-controlled drone working for the cabal. Are we going to throw out quite a lot of valuable data because a small group of bloggers, forum owners and researchers feel a need to protect their established views, book narratives, and particular esoteric or UFO religions? Many of them are basing their info off of misinformation or even in some cases disinformation put out by people who are working in the truther community, which is extremely infiltrated and influenced. All I can say when it comes down to it is to look over the information, and if it resonates with you then it is worth looking into further. I would definitely suggest that if you have been a part of this world at any level or even have taken part in some of these projects and you have wanted to come forward, now is the time. I would contact myself, David Wilcock, or Dr. Michael Salla. Q10. There have been claims that the Blue Avians' message of love and forgiveness, and references to the Law of One material is part of a psychological operation to entrap researchers disposed to such a message. How do you respond? First of all, the sphere beings and Blue Avians have never claimed to be the raw beings from the Law of One material. When asked if they were the raw from the Law of One material, the Blue Avian present only responded, "I am raw Tyr." People hear what they want to out of that reply, but this is how the Blue Avians communicate. Nor they have ever claimed that these are savior beings. The opposite is true. They say that we have to clean up our own mess and save ourselves. I am no Law of One scholar by any means. I was not drawing the line from the Blue Avians' communications to Ra until I started speaking with David Wilcock. In the beginning I was guided to work with David, but at the time I was sending emails to him and to other people. David was busy. The other two ended up doing some very unethical things which were heavily documented and are now a footnote. David would always tell me that these beings communicated in the same way and used the same general protocols as Ra. He was convinced early on that this was the case when I was yet still a holdout. I was raised a Christian and, as many know, used this belief system to get through a lot of what happened to me directly and what I had done to others. I had a couple of aversions to channeled material because of some technology I had witnessed that was used to transmit words and data into the mind of a human from a great distance with what was originally referenced to as the voice of God. This technology is now so prevalent that just about any high-level Black Ops group has access to it. This technology has been used to push people with mental disorders into certain behaviors, torture the new boyfriends of ex-wives, to targeting people to make them think they are hearing God, Allah, Virgin Mary, ETs, or channeling large amounts of information from ascended masters or high-density beings. I knew that some groups were ordered to read the Ra and Seth data while in the programs. At the same time, I knew many groups were working to discredit both works. For a time I just associated all of it in the same pile and ignored it. I never expected it to come seeking me in some form or another. I figured that since these sphere beings were from the same density realms as the Ra, that they must all believe similar things, being from the same realm. I have ordered the Ra, Law of One books, but have been making excuses not to read them. My wife finished book 1 on our trip to GAIM to do our last video shoot. I do think there was a reason I was directed to work with David. He is a 20-year scholar of the Law of One, lived at L for a couple of years. It has been very helpful to have his insight in these matters as well as all of the other scientific studies he has done. Until the Sphere Alliance tells me directly that they are the same raw beings, I am not going to claim that they are. They did say they have contacted humanity 3 other times and that humanity had turned the info given to them into a religion. From all of the quotes, they are saying the same types of things and in the same way. David stated that he never expected that these beings would show up in a physical way like this. What does it matter if they were once the raw beings or not? What matters is what is occurring in the moment. There is no real information from the detractors that supports their claims of all of this info being an psyop or cabal-controlled diversion. A quick look at the full history of the information I have released compared to what people are associating me with saying is enough to verify. If love and forgiveness is considered a weakness to you, then you may want to sit in a quiet place, shine a light inward and do a polarity check. Note: The first 2 episodes of Cosmic Disclosure are available for free on the GayIMTV website. The first episode is also on YouTube. To watch the whole season of Cosmic Disclosure, you need to subscribe to GayIMTV. If you subscribe using this link, then a portion of your monthly subscription will go towards supporting Corey Good as he continues his disclosures. The link is in the video description.